This is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about pleasure and the best way to pleasure a woman, because I coach men on this. And I also do something called pleasure school sessions, where I work with couples and individuals on how to give and receive more pleasure. So I get a lot of this question a lot, and I want to answer some of it here in this podcast. Some of it needs to be like one-on-one, because there's individual trauma that we all have and desires and needs. But I think in general, we can give you some foundational information so that you can give a woman more pleasure. And if you're a woman listening to this, you can speak up. Or just send them this podcast, but speak up for your pleasure. Please do. We all need all of us, every single man, woman, other, to speak up for their pleasure more. But right now I'm going to talk specifically to men. So if you want to pleasure a woman, I know that your brain right now is going to the technical things, the physical things, and those are very important. What I notice with men, though, is the most important thing that I want to tell you. If you get anything out of this podcast, the most important thing that you can do to pleasure a woman in bed, we're talking about romantically, is to stop trying to impress her. Full stop. If you can get that out of this podcast, if you can get one thing out of this podcast, stop trying to impress us. Because it feels like when it's like, like when a man and woman are like on a date and they're vibing, and they're getting to know each other, a man usually is able to be fully present in his body and emotionally and just like be in tune, and then when they get into the bedroom, it's like somehow this light flip gets switched and gets turned on, and they're like, okay, now we're in lovemaking mode. And, and then it's like, it becomes this like mission mode of not only your own pleasure, but, like if you are a good man, you want to make sure that the woman that you are sleeping with is enjoying herself. And also for some men, this is how they get some of their self-worth. I'm not going to go into this podcast, but, it's just basically they go into this thing where they're just like, I want to make sure that she feels good. But what happens is it becomes this first off, a woman can feel that, because when you go into this, like, it makes you go into your brain, like you go into thinking mode instead of feeling mode. You're less in your body and more in your head. And also a woman, her experience of this is feeling disconnected from you. And when a woman feels disconnected from you, especially when her body is involved, especially when she's supposed to be opening up her body for pleasure, it actually does the opposite, because it creates unsafeness in her body. She feels not safe, because the reason why she doesn't feel safe is because, and it's so funny because your intention is to please her and to make her feel safe and to make her feel pleasure. So we're honoring that, right? But the reason why she feels the opposite is because in order for a woman to really feel safe enough to open her body and to enjoy pleasure, she needs to feel that you are fully in tune with her, that you are holding space energetically, and you're actually like, you're present, you're fully there in your body, mind, and soul, like energetically, emotionally, and in your brain. But what happens when a man tries to go into the I'm impressing you mode, is that they go into this mechanical thinking process of, this is what's worked in the past, or this is what I saw on porn, or, if you've slept with each other before, it's like, this is what worked last time. I want to make sure that, you're really enjoying yourself. So it's almost like they're checking off the list of like, and then I kiss her here, and then I go down on her, and then it goes to penetration. And a lot of this is also because we've been programmed, all of us, or most of us have been programmed through porn, to like, this is what sex is. And porn is like the last place that you should be looking for actually enjoying real pleasure, because porn is made up, and it is two people who most likely don't even know each other, and they're just doing mechanical things and faking pleasure. And most of the time they're not even really enjoying it. I mean, when you look at porn, you can tell if someone's actually enjoying it. But even if they are, it's like, anyways. So the point is that that's not where you should be looking, because it's really a lot better. And this is what I have experienced myself. And this is what women tell me. And this is what the men tell me that I coach that go out and do this after I teach them, is when you're able to slow down. So basically throw the idea that you need to impress her, that you need to perform. And I understand that there's been a lot of pressure from society that has been put on you to just kind of understand what women want in bed and be able to do it perfectly. Let's just throw all of that out the window because the best thing you can do is be on the same team as your partner. Be on the same team in bed. So you are not, as a man, expected to understand what she likes. The only thing us women ask of you is to be fully present with us. And so a lot of men are like, what does that mean? Like, give me the protocol. What's the procedure? What does it mean to be fully present? Being fully present is getting out of your head and into your body and being able to operate in a sexual way, like in a sexual situation, from your body sensations that are happening. So literally, how do you feel in your body right now? Can you feel how your partner is feeling in her body right now? Is she enjoying herself? If you can't feel, if you can't tell how she's doing, ask her. It's like somehow we get this idea that like men are just supposed to, like women are just supposed to lay there like almost like a dead body, and men are supposed to like do things in bed and just she's going to enjoy it and everyone's going to orgasm and then it's over. It's like in reality, I mean, that might work for some people, but I will tell you, you're going to get 100,000 times more pleasure if you communicate, especially if it's the first time you're making love with someone. So sexy ways to communicate in bed in order to do this. You could ask the person, do you like this? You know, like you can start doing something and ask like, do you like this? Or do you want me to change something? Or how is this for you? And I will tell you, one of the most sexy things that a man can ask me in bed is, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel safe? How do you feel in your body? And sometimes men worry that if they ask you a question while they're in the middle of the lovemaking session, that it's going to throw the energy off. And it actually doesn't. Because for us women, having it slow down for 1 second to check in with our bodies and having our feelings be honored and the sensations going through our bodies being honored, this turns us on 1,000 million times more than if you had just guessed and just ran with it and tried to do the thing and like figure it out without talking to us. So for me, I've had it where a man is like, do you like this? And I'm like, yeah, I like this. Or yeah, I like it, but can you like, move it a little bit here? Or can you do this? And then they do it and I'm like, oh my God, yes. Oh yes. And then it's like, even more pleasure. Or, they'll ask me like, do you feel safe right now? And I'm like, oh, I feel safe. Yeah, this is really nice. Thank you. And that brings me more you can hear it in my voice. Just the idea of a man asking me if I feel safe already brings me more into my soft place, into my feminine. And when a woman is in her feminine energy, her body naturally opens up because it feels safe to receive. It feels safe to enjoy pleasure. I want to share a story with you. I had a play party this weekend. We had over 75 people there. I didn't mean to have that many people, but it was amazing. And I have a huge house. Like we can host probably like my landlord, who is my friend, said that he used to host parties here with like 200 people. But I probably wouldn't do that for a play party because it's like just a lot of energy. Already there was a lot of energy in the space this weekend, but it was still really amazing. We had a great time, everyone involved. And I want to share a story about a man that I connected with. So I was in the pool naked, swimming around like a little mermaid. And it's like the open play. So it's like we have already done the games and connection stuff and boundary stuff. And then it goes into this open house party, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about the vanilla play parties, which I host every 2 weeks here on Koh Phangan. And they're no penetration, women-led sexy parties. I call them pleasure school parties. So anyways, it's in the open play. I'm in the pool. I'm swimming around. And then I start to get a little cold. I don't know why. It's been like raining here. It's not the time. Like the rainy season's supposed to be over, but anyways, it didn't rain that day, but the weather has been cooler than it normally is, which I'm my Irish skin is very happy for, but at night in the pool, I was cold. So I was looking for a towel. I forgot to get a towel. And I was like trying to make eye contact with someone, and there's like many things happening all around me, many different pleasure things happening, and the music's going, and I make eye contact with a guy who's in the living room. And at first I was just going to ask him, can you get me a towel? And then I was like, oh, he's kind of hot, or he is hot. Not kind of, he is. He's very attractive. And so I like go like this. I'm like, can you come over? And he was like, yes. And I was like, do you want to come in the pool with me? And then he was like, yeah, I do. So then he came in, and I was like, wait, can you bring a towel first so that when we get out, we have a towel? So then like both things are solved. So he comes in, we connect, we're just like cuddling and talking. And then we get out of the pool, we dry off, we lay on a bed, like near the pool, under the stars. It was very beautiful. And we're talking some more, and then he asked me, can I kiss you? And like at first he was asking me, how are you feeling? How's it going? I know you're still in hosting mode. Like, are you open to playing in the play party? And I said, mostly I don't play. I usually just host. But this time, you know, there's a lot of our team here of us women who are hosting. So I feel more dropped in, like I can just enjoy myself. And then he was like, well, I'm very attracted to you. Like, do you think can I kiss you? And I was like, yeah. So then he starts kissing me. And then he stops kissing me. And I'm like confused, you know, because this doesn't traditionally happen with men when they're kissing me. And he said, I don't feel that you are fully in your body right now. And like, it's okay. Like, we don't have to connect. We can just cuddle. I just want to create a safe space for you. And do you know what I did? I started crying at my own play party because it is very special and very unique for a man to be that in tune. Like, I'm already a super sensitive person. And I have a lot of feelings and emotions going through this body. And so when a man, he's a Cancer, like on the astrology, so it makes sense. In my reality, he's in tune with emotions more easily than probably others. But it was really beautiful that he slowed down and spoke up and like was in tune with my emotional reality enough to say, hey, let's pause. Let's breathe into this. Let's like just take some time. Like, how are you feeling in your body? I want you to feel safe. And I want you just like, we don't have to like do anything physically. I just want to connect with you as a soul. And he really meant that. I could feel that. And so that made me feel, one, really safe in my body. And two, it literally helped me to drop into my body more because my body felt like, oh, this man can hold space for me. He can pay attention even when I'm not paying attention to my body. And usually I'm super in tune with my body. I was just in hosting mode still. So part of my brain was still like monitoring everything that was going on around me, making sure everyone's okay. You know, I want to make sure everyone feels safe and sexy and empowered. And he could feel that part of me that wasn't fully there. And he was like, let's wait for that part of you to drop in all the way so that we can connect fully together and be fully present with each other. Oh, that is like so fucking sexy when a man does this. So then I end up just going around and like I saying like, actually, yeah, I need to keep hosting. Like it was still like probably midway through the party. And so he was like, yeah, I totally honor that. And so, you know, I said goodbye, thank you. And then he said like, even if this is the last time we connect today, I just want you to know it was really special for me to like talk to you and like, you know, I follow you online and your podcast and I really honor what you're doing in the world. And I was like, oh my God, this man knows how to talk in the way of like, he's speaking to my heart right now. And when a man speaks to my heart and like really honors that and it very much opens my body, right? So I went through the rest of the play party I was hosting. And then towards the end, like when most of the people had gone home, he was on the dance floor. And so I like, you know, shimmied over and danced with him. And then we ended up going out and having on one of the beds and having a really beautiful connection. And I said to him, the reason why I'm here right now is because you are able to be in tune with my body. And that makes my body feel safe and excited to open up to you and to enjoy pleasure. And he was just like, the funny thing is he was just like, I actually reached out. The first time I ever reached out to you on Instagram was asking about your coaching for men. And I was like, really? This is so funny. And he's like, yeah, I just really love what you're doing and how you're helping men to be more in tune with their bodies. And so I've been like listening to your stuff and like trying to apply it. And I was like, well, it's working. Good job. Like, I approve. But the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is that, when us girls talk, like when we're behind the scenes, we're having our girls' night. First off, hold on. It's really hot suddenly. It has been cold all morning and now it's hot. The sun came out. So when us women are talking with each other and we're talking about the best sex we've ever had, there is, yes, of course, there is this energy of like, oh, this guy that was like feeling like very confident in himself. That is really important. I will say it's very sexy when a man is very confident in his body and understands his own value and his own worth, and is also like seeing you as the goddess that you are and is like willing to enter into your reality, like even though he might be a little intimidated by you or, whatever. But there's a very fine line between confidence and then being able to be fully present. Because sometimes men feel that in order to be confident, they need to impress you and they need to kind of, again, turn off the being in tune with you and turn on the I'm trying to impress you. And when that line gets crossed, it doesn't matter if you're the most confident man in the world, like you really could be in real life. But if you're not in tune with her, she's not going to receive the pleasure that she deserves, first off, and that you actually probably want to give her. So it becomes this misalignment energetically. And also it's just kind of sad because it's like, of course we all want more pleasure, like we all want to enjoy ourselves the most. So if you, I'm looking at my notes. So if you want to be the best sex that she ever had, I wrote, the best way that you can learn this, it's like, this is a skill. This is the thing I really want to say is like, in order to be in tune with another person, it is a skill that you need to learn over time. So like you can go to school to be a doctor. You can go to school to be a scientist. You can go to school to, learn how to be a mechanic. Like all of these things are skills that you learn over time. No one's showing up and expecting you to be able to fix a car if you've never like learned how to do that. So when it talks about like the things that I'm talking about are embodiment skills. Like it's like literally learning how to be in tune with your own body, learning how to be in tune with someone else's body. And a lot of it is emotional skills. And in today's world, we have been taught many intellectual skills. So suddenly when men are trying, like a lot of men that are very successful in the 3D world, they're very financially successful. They have done all the things in the 3D that the world programs men to be in order for them to be like, I don't know, successful and worthy of women, whatever. It's like a lot of these men end up coming to me because they are successful in the 3D world, in the outside world. But when it comes to connecting emotionally, suddenly they feel very out of their depth. They feel very out of control. They feel like they don't know what to do and they don't know how to connect. And it's because they haven't learned the skill set yet of embodiment, of orientating your life through the senses happening in your body. So I can tell you like right now, how I feel in my body is a little bit tired because I was so activated yesterday. I had this thing where I needed to like clean up energy with people, and I spent 4 hours sending voice messages yesterday and having phone calls with friends, business partners, things that I hadn't said, energy that was in my body. I noticed this energy in my body. And I felt so excited about doing that and so relieved that I had a lot of energy, and I didn't sleep that much last night. And so in my body right now, I feel tired. And I also feel excited to make this podcast because it keeps coming up in my coaching sessions, and I really want to share with you that you're not doing anything wrong by not having the skill set. But what I'm talking about embodiment is like I can feel the sensations in my body, and I can orientate, wow, that word is hard for me, orientate my reality based on these sensations and very quickly shift my reality in order to have a better experience. I can also very easily tune in with other people's bodies and the sensations and the feelings that are going through their bodies, and I can tell very quickly how they are feeling, what they need, and how better, we can show up for each other. And this is because one, I minored in psychology in university, and two, I have spent years learning somatic experiencing trauma work, like trauma training, and that's not a right word. Like, I have trauma facilitator training. So I have been able, and I've also held safe spaces for over 10 years, especially around sexuality. So it's like, for me, like when you're in these spaces, you have to be very in tune with what's happening around you, because people are processing trauma, things are coming up, especially if you're in a sexual space. Like, you need to hold the space in a way where everyone feels safe. And in order for everyone to feel safe, me as a facilitator, I have to be very in tune energetically with what's happening around me, because sometimes people are triggered and they don't even realize they're triggered. And they don't even realize that they're about to re-traumatize themselves because they're in like a freeze state, or, they're just in a fawn. Freeze state is where you just freeze energetically. Fawn state is when you're like a deer in the headlights and you're just like, I'm just going to go along with this and I don't actually want to do it because my body has just turned off. So for me as a facilitator, I have learned this skill set. And so I can look at you and like immediately give you a read on how you're feeling in your body and what's going on with you. And because for traditional world that we're in up until recently, this wasn't a metric that was valuable in the world. This emotional intelligence, like we call it EQ. So like the world very much values IQ, but emotional intelligence is called EQ. And this is something that is only recently starting to be valued in the world. And because it wasn't valued, there isn't so much a metric of success. So because there isn't a metric of success, and because the world is run in a masculine way where we need metrics and we need to be productive and we need to have success values, everything around it became not valuable and not needing to be learned. And so women, because we're women, we are way more in tune with our emotions. And because we're women, we also we just orientate naturally from the perspective of our sensations running through our body, our embodiment, and the feelings in our body. We just have, and also because women are allowed to, from societal programming, we're kind of allowed to feel our feelings. Like, men are not necessarily, from a young age, they were not programmed to be able to feel their feelings, or they were told, man up, or don't be a pussy, or, like, don't feel your feelings unless it's anger. And that's about it. Like, and then recently, I would say even in the last 10 years, or even the last 5 years, suddenly there is all of this stuff in like our mass consciousness, like around the whole world, in our thinking process as a collective. Suddenly people are getting switched on to the idea that like, oh wait, emotions are important. Emotions are what make life worth living. Like, you can have all the money in the world and then just sit in your villa by yourself in paradise and feel like shit, because you don't have connection and nourishment, and like you don't understand how to enjoy life because you've just worked from an orientation of how productive can you be and how much money can you make. So each one of us have masculine and feminine energy in us. So the masculine energy is the thing that protects us, creates boundaries, goes out and does things in the 3D world. That's great. I do many things in the world. And then the feminine energy is the one that enjoys. It's the one that feels. It's the one that senses, intuition, all of these things. It's the one that is reading all the things that are happening between the lines that are not black and white. It's like the masculine energy is like very focused and very like, we are doing this thing. It's very black and white. Like we're, it's either this or that. The feminine energy is like a whole fucking rainbow. It's just like, we're going here and this is how I feel, but what about this thing? And da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, it can be feminine chaos, but it also can be what makes life beautiful because it is so magical and it's so colorful. And so a lot of men have actually disconnected from their own feminine within their own bodies. And what that means is like they disconnected from being in tune with their own emotions. Everyone has emotions. Women just have an easier access to them currently because we've been allowed to feel them throughout our whole lives, and we birth babies through our bodies. So we just have a more natural connection to our bodies, which is what emotions go through, right? But men have just as many feelings most of the time, but a lot of times they don't have access to it. And they don't know how to access it. And then when a woman comes into their life and is like, hey, I'm only going to be in a relationship with you. I only want to make love with you. If you're able to feel me and be in tune with me, it's like suddenly they got to get this skill set of how to do that. And if they're going to be in, you can only be in tune with someone else and feel someone else energetically and emotionally up until the point that you have done that for yourself. So if you're not able to feel yourself and hold space for your own emotions and feel your own body, you are not going to be able to do that for your partner. And so the work starts with you. It's like you got to learn the skill set for yourself first and like kind of practice on yourself first. And then you will immediately attract in women. We're talking about like heterosexual dynamics where you're wanting to date a woman, you'll immediately attract in women where they are, you can practice this on. And like every woman is going to be super excited with a man who is able to be in tune with her emotions and hold space for her with the objective to protect her and create a safe space for her. Whew, I love this so much. So it's like, yeah, there is the energy. There is the energy dynamic of like, yes, are you in tune with your own emotions? Are you in tune with your own energy? Then you can hold space for her emotions, be in tune with her energy, what's going through her body. That is like, I would say that is like what opens the door for the connection with a woman, romantically, physically, sexually. And then of course, like I'm not saying that the physical skills of what you do in bed, like those things are very important. Like the actual skill set of how to please a woman in bed is very, very, very important. Like even last week, my girlfriend and I were talking about like how a lot of men that we've kissed just don't know how to kiss. And yes, this is subjective. This is through preferences. If you're thinking that, I agree with you. But also I will tell you there is a baseline. There is a foundational reality of this is how you kiss a person. And I know this because I've taught many men how to kiss. And again, comes with embodiment and feeling yourself and like a man being able to feel his own body and being open to feeling a woman's body. Because even when you kiss, you're starting to mix your energy. This is the beginning of your energies entwining. And if you don't know this, your tongue has sensationally and in the nervous system a direct connection to your genitals. So this is why when you start kissing, it's like naturally starts turning you on. And if you're a bad kisser, you're not going to turn her on. So it's like you got to learn this from like I'm talking about like from the beginning skill set of kissing all the way through to getting in the bedroom and taking your clothes off and pleasuring her and giving her oral and like all the rest of the things. There's so many things to learn. But the thing that I think a lot of men skip is the energy and the emotional part. But the rest of it is, yes, it is very important. I would say it's actually the most important is the energy that you hold in the bedroom, because it's like, this is where I'm talking about confidence is important. Yeah, like being confident in yourself is important, but the confidence is not like you performing and understanding how to do, X, Y, and Z of like how to please her physically. It's like, can you hold this energy of like, I got you. I am able to hold space for you so that you can relax fully into your feminine. Because I don't care what women say. I've talked to a lot of women, so this is what they say, but like, I'm just going to give you a secret. Do you want a secret of like what a woman really wants in the bedroom? Which is she wants to know that she can completely let go and completely trust you to be in charge energetically. And again, I'm not saying that she's going to lay there like a dead person. I'm talking about the energy of how you are flowing together in bed. Because Everyone wants what we call a polarity balance energetically between them and their partner. And what that means is like, you know, if you're in a heterosexual dynamic and you are a man, traditionally, this doesn't necessarily, I would say 99% of the time, okay, 99% of the time, the man is leading in his masculine and wants to feel that he is able to create this safe space for the woman to completely drop in. And a woman really wants to feel that her man, whoever she's sleeping with, her partner, her man, whoever, is in charge enough of the 3D reality around her, because basically what she's about to do is go into spirit. When a woman is in her pleasure, because she births babies, she has a direct portal to the spirit world. And this starts opening up when she is in lovemaking. And this is why babies are conceived during sex, because you're literally opening a portal energetically to the spirit world, and physically a baby can be made and a soul can come through. It's really funny to say it like that because I've never even really thought of it like that, but that's really what's happening. So when she's about to open her body, what she actually wants is like to think, what she's actually thinking, even if it's on a subconscious level, is, are you able to be in charge of our physical reality and even be in charge of being in tune with my physical body so that I can completely let go and go into spirit? I don't even have to think about my own body. I can just fly off. And what will happen is, if she's able to do that and she feels that safe, and she feels energetically that you are not trying to impress her, you're just trying to hold a safe space for her, she will not only blast off into spirit, she will energetically take you with her. And I have had this happen with many men where, because for me it comes very natural. I'm very connected to spirit. So even when I self-pleasure, I go there very quickly. I go straight into spirit. I get downloads. I pull things back into the 3D. It's called sex magic. I'm a Scorpio. I've also been trained in sex magic, so I understand how to do this. And so when I am sleeping with a man, if we are energetically connected enough and I feel safe, I can feel it and see it when I close my eyes. I can pull him with me all the way into spirit. And they will tell me afterwards that sometimes the men I've slept with will also be able to receive downloads while we're lovemaking, manifest things while we're having sex. Or they'll just feel this very crazy sensation, because when you're in spirit, it's like the most pleasurable orgasm you can ever have, because it's like literally going home for a minute. Like spirit is home. We're just dreaming this reality right now. And when you're able to go there, it's like not only do you recharge energetically, but you just feel so good. It's like, I don't know, it's like being on MDMA, It's like taking DMT and MDMA all at once. And yeah, so that's great. Just sharing that with you. So yeah, in order for her to be able to drop in like this and feel this safety, she has to feel that you are fully present enough to be in tune with her body so that she can release herself energetically and let go and be soft and her wildly woman, feminine, self. And this is why in the beginning, the thing I was saying with you is the best way to start is to just literally tell yourself, I'm not trying to impress her. I just want to be on the same team with her. I just want to create a safe space for her. Because if I do that, everything else is going to work, And this is also why, a lot of men are starting to learn what we call Tantra skills. So Tantra, if you've heard anything about Tantra, a lot of people think Tantra and they think about sex. But actually, Tantra was started in India, and it was a way for us to be in alignment energetically in our bodies. And actually, the sexual part of Tantra and traditional Tantra is 10%. The rest of Tantra is breath work, energy work to have you align. Think of your spine and think of the chakra. There's chakra points going all the way down your spine. And imagine two snakes going in and out, interconnecting on your spine, going all the way up. this is what Tantra is doing. It's connecting the energy, and it's the masculine and feminine energy intersecting. It's funny because when you think of like, and I think in America, like the doctor, I'm going to put the picture of it, but it's like the doctor signature in America is actually this thing. It's really interesting because it's basically the spine and the two kundalini snakes going up. And that's the masculine and feminine energy. And the whole point of Tantra is to be able to align within yourself your own masculine and feminine energy so that you are able to be a clear channel for energy to go through your body. And this is what is called enlightenment, is that we're using our bodies as a vessel to be clear channels for energy to come through, for our soul to come to pour energy into. So what most people think of in Tantra today is what we call Neo-Tantra, which is the sexual part of Tantra. And that's actually 10% of what it originally was. But now that's like the thing that everyone thinks of when they think of Tantra. So it's really funny. But here on Koh Phangan, there is a lot of, we kind of jokingly call it Tantra Island. They actually made a Vice documentary about the island that I think is called Tantra Island. Like all of my friends are in it. And so it's just become this thing on the island where people come here and they want to learn more about learn about embodiment, learn about sex, and learn about, Tantra, which is both of those things on the island at least. And this is also why I started my play parties, because here on the island, everyone just kept asking me for it. Like, hey, I want to learn about this, and I trust you, and like I know that you do this stuff. And I was just doing them privately for my friends, but then more and more people really needed them. And I saw on the island that there are like not that many safe spaces. I didn't see any women holding safe spaces like this around like a lot of my girlfriends here on the island. They like my friend Tamara, she runs something called the Jade Temple. So if you ever come here and you're a woman, please look up the Jade Temple. It's amazing. It's all women. It's a women's embodiment place, and they do many courses and stuff like that. But at the time when I started play parties, none of this was happening. I think the Jade Temple was shut down, and there was just like there wasn't things happening, and I wanted to create the safe space for especially the women around me to be able to drop in, and also for the men to learn. Because I said this in my last podcast that like in today's timeline, like in today's lifetime as we are right now in the world, it's a really weird time to be a man. It just feels like everyone's upset at you and you don't really even know what you're supposed to do. And you just want to do the right thing, and also feel loved and connected. And because women, we have experienced so much trauma from men, like not just in our own physical bodies in this lifetime, but it's like generationally, it's passed down through our mothers in our wombs, like through their womb, we have received a lot of generational trauma around the masculine. And right now in our timeline, in our lifetime, we are healing a lot of this. And with a lot of that healing comes what we call shadow work. And shadow work is you have to let the emotions go through your body. You have to, in order to come into full embodiment, you have to clear out anything in your body that is no longer serving you, any negative energy. And a lot of this negative energy is not even ours. It's like, from our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and all the things behind us. So, yeah, that's great. I feel like I went on a tangent there. But the point of this podcast was to help you to understand the first tip of how to pleasure a woman. So I think I said a lot of them, but I hope that this was helpful for you. And yeah, we are hosting, I'm starting to do something called Sexy. I'm just going to share some announcements with you if you're coming to the island or you're on the island. We're starting to do something called Sexy Sundays for my vanilla play party community. If you're in the community or if you're interested to join, we're going to start doing just a cuddle event on Sundays where you can go swimming and cuddle around the pool. We'll have music, we'll be vibing, we'll be eating food, and we'll just be co-regulating, like aligning our nervous systems by caring and sensual touch. So it's not a sexual thing. And then on February 8th, the first one of that is this Saturday, February 2nd. And then on February 8th, our next vanilla play party is happening, and we're already half full. And yeah, we're going to have at least 60 people. So it's going to be amazing. I'm very excited. And also I am hosting a Goddess on Fire retreat So message me if you are coming to the island, and I'm just going to message me on Instagram, Brittnee Bond, and I'll share all of the updates soon. So we're going to do a goddess retreat, and it's all about how to step fully into your feminine power and heal stuff around your sexuality and more embodiment as a woman, and just also to connect in real sisterhood. Like when I host the play parties, we do a women's circle as one of the games. And this last play party, this happens a lot, but this last one specifically, a lot of the women were saying, this is the first time I've ever been around women and felt safe. Like I've actually felt, they were saying I've actually felt some sort of real sisterhood, not like this fake sisterhood or this casual thing. It's like, no, we're actually dropped in. We care about each other. We're showing up for each other. And we like are feeling together as a one unit, as a body, one female body together. And that is what all of us women deeply crave. Like, in my opinion, women come first before any men. Because traditionally in tribal setting, this is how we were. Like you had your women around you constantly. Those were the ones that you shared your whole life with. Like in traditional tribal times, men were, going off and fighting or hunting, and the women were just having the best time hanging out with each other. And of course, very excited for the men to come back and hang out with them. But, like it was the women that were keeping each other going. And I have this in my life, and I realized that a lot of women don't have this. So this is why I made the goddess retreat. And this is why I love hosting the play parties, because it's also an opportunity for women to drop in together and to feel safe and to enjoy pleasure and to step more fully in their power. So many yummy things to look forward to. But I have some coaching that I'm doing now. I love doing these pleasure school sessions, especially for couples. It's really fun. But I've also have some single men and single women who are coming to me. It's basically 2 hours where I ask you ahead of time questions of like what you want to learn. So it can be emotional stuff. It can be, trauma, sexual trauma you're trying to work through. It can be just like, hey, I just want to learn some actual tools and like physical techniques to enjoy more pleasure and give more pleasure. And I'm like, I'm here for all of it. Let's go. Because it's like really helped a lot of them to upgrade their life in the pleasure department. And that is what I am here for. I really just want all of us to orientate. Wow, that word is so hard for me today. My mom was dyslexic growing up, so I used to read a book a day because I grew up in a religious cult and I wasn't allowed to watch TV. So I would just read from the time I would get up in the morning. And my dad was also just crazy. So when we got home, we weren't really allowed to leave the house till the next day. So I would just read. I would read like a book a day. But there's a lot of words that I don't know how to say out loud because I only have heard my mom saying them, who's dyslexic. So she's saying them backwards. Or I read them in a book. And apparently orientate is one of those words. So I have a vision that we all are able to orientate from the feeling of pleasure in our bodies for our whole lives. Like imagine if waking up in the morning, you're just like, what is going to bring me the most pleasure right now? I'm going to do that thing. I mean, that's how I live my life. And I would love to activate and inspire all of you to live your life the same. So I'll leave it on that note. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.